have to capture the Rainforest
that's
Cafe.
where the world to capture the rotating restaurant. Picture this: chain smokers drop closer,
and then Canada,
America and Canada battle at Fort
Detroit.
Henry.
Yeah, I know.
Ahoy! Welcome back to Girl Historians.
I'm Carley.
I am Blair.
And this is the comedy podcast where we talk about history and are also girls.
Special Canada Day edition.
Yes, it's not Canada Day, but maybe it is when you're listening to this.
It's Canada Day. Well, if you're listening on July 1st.
Congratulations. It's my sister's birthday.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, she's born on July 1st. I'm born on July 22nd.
That's great. That's so close.
I know.
Your poor parents.
I was pissed as fuck. I was 4 years
Yeah.
old and I was like,
God.
there was no, because as a 4-year-old, there's no greater violence
Yeah.
than for your birthday to be encroached upon.
Oh no, it's horrible.
Yeah.
My sister is born September 17th and I'm May 20th. And
That's a great span of time.
That's a great span of time because neither of us have summer birthdays and neither of us have Christmas birthdays.
Yeah.
But then trade off divorced parents.
So that's where you had to get karma somewhere.
Yeah, we had to get karma somewhere and it wasn't going to be the birthday placement, which was near perfect, I would say.
That's true. Yeah, I would say with mine, I love having a summer birthday as an adult with friends that are too poor to really travel in July.
Yes.
As a kid, it was hard because people would be gone all the time to the beach house, whatever.
Yeah.
But now as an adult, having a late July birthday
It's
is
perfect.
Is perfect.
It's like beach.
It's just
And you have
beach.
no reason not to show up to the beach.
Yeah, or I'll cut you out.
Yeah. I have a May 2-4, like the May 2-4
That's
weekend is
so
always my
much fun.
birthday, which again, as a kid, it sucked because everyone would go away with their parents. But now that all my friends are poor,
They're like, which park are we going to?
they're just like, what park are we going to? But sometimes I got fireworks on my birthday, which is exciting. And I
Yeah.
imagine Katie would be the same if she's July 1st.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if she does anything for her birthday in any way.
Wow. Good for her.
But yeah, I'm thinking this year for my birthday, do a big old picnic,
Oh, stunning.
you know?
That would be gorgeous.
Right.
I'm really into it. I'm getting talked into going on a trip for my birthday, and I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to do that.
Where?
I don't know. I was thinking, okay, I'm kind of in between because I do want to go somewhere soon. I've never been to Europe,
Oh, wow.
and I do want to go to Europe this year.
Yeah.
But I want to go to England, and we've been talking about
Yes,
going to
we've been talking about
England.
going to England, obviously.
And then Portugal was also pitched to
Yeah.
me by another friend,
yeah.
not to encroach on our England trip.
No, of course.
But now I'm like, maybe there's like a version where I go to both of those,
yeah, they're pretty close.
right?
Definitely.
So, but I just don't know how I feel about like, especially because the two friends who are pitching this birthday trip to me, love them both to the moon and back. Maybe two of the weirdest people to travel with ever.
Yeah.
And I won't. Neither of them
Europe
listen to
is
the podcast.
intense to travel with
yes.
someone, not as a place. I mean, maybe as a place. I don't have enough information. But like, even traveling with like my partner, and we travel very easily together. Like,
Yes.
bonds are tested.
Yes.
Like what's the capital of Portugal?
Lisbon.
Yeah, in the Lisbon airport. Bonds were tested. You know what I mean?
In
Like
the Lisbon airport.
in the Lisbon airport. Because it is just like so much traveling.
Yeah.
And I never did that either as a kid. So like I'm not used to being like, I have friends who like, you know, they're from Hong Kong or whatever. So like they grew up going on 12-hour
experts,
flights.
like-
They're just used to traveling.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, if people are from South Korea and they live in Toronto,
yeah.
they're like, oh yeah, like I'm used to, or even like Sachin going to India. is
Oh
like,
yeah, I go
it's like
visit my family in India every year. Like, pardon?
It's a 20-hour flight, like,
like,
or a
cool.
trip like front to back.
I'm
So
on
you
a
have to
plane
stop
for
over.
2 hours, and I'm like,
I go crazy. No, I literally go insane.
like I gotta stretch my muscles are lapsing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. I do want to go somewhere. I think I'm kind of thinking it through because it's like I'm a pretty relaxed traveler. Well, you've traveled with me.
Yeah, you're chill.
I'm pretty.
You do your own
chill.
thing, which I think is nice. Like you're totally fine
Yes.
to do your own thing if you want to do something.
Yes.
Which I think is key to being a person who wants to do stuff when you travel. Like if you want to see the sights, if you want to go for an early morning walk, like that's your prerogative. Go for it.
Yes.
But you can't force people to jump on the bandwagon. You want to suck the marrow out of life,
Yes. I love sucking.
but you don't, you don't
Marrow
care if
out of
other
life.
people suck.
Yeah, if you don't want to suck the marrow out of life, that's none of my business.
No.
But also, like, if you have a bunch of weird kind of like Like people who are just like, I cannot do this unless like this is happening. I'm like, do not put that on me while we're traveling.
Yes,
You know what I
agree.
mean? Like,
You have to be the master of your own domain.
yeah. Or like when people are just like, I have to go home now. Like, we have to go home now. It's like,
Why?
Like,
You can go home.
Go home. Like, if you want to go back to the hotel, go back to the, like, don't put it, like, you know what I mean?
No, I feel like I'm the exact opposite of you, but like still aligned with you. Where like I often like I remember doing like a trip to the Ottawa Improv Festival and everyone was like going out. Brag. Quick
Ottawa,
brag. I
quick
was
brag.
at the Ottawa
But we had to
Improv
bring up the
Festival.
capital Canada on our Canada episode. Yeah.
And you know, everyone was out like having fun and drinking. And like if I'm drinking and if I'm sober, to be honest, like there's just a certain part where like I reach my limit and I'm like, I need to leave.
Yeah, you Cinderella.
I need to Cinderella. The clock has struck midnight.
Yeah.
But I'm always like, I'm gonna go back to the Airbnb. But like, y'all do this, have fun.
Yeah.
Like I don't care.
Yeah.
Because I think that's also how you can meet your needs the best, is if you just do them. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to be beholden to someone else being like, but we want to do one more round. I'm like, then great, you do that.
Yeah.
But I think because oftentimes when people act like me, they do it because they're mad. It really, people freak. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like some people are like, don't leave, and I'm like, I'm not mad. I just really like want to listen to music
Yeah.
on this Uber home.
Yeah. Like I really,
And then
I just
make
want to have a walk.
nachos.
Make nachos
Like,
while
I've
traveling
made a
is so
plan.
funny. I want to go back to the Airbnb and make nachos. They taste
Yeah.
different in a different country.
Yeah, when you preheat the oven, in a different country, the
In
country of Ottawa.
Country of Ottawa.
Yeah.
And let's speak on it. I believe every Canadian city should be its own country.
Definitely. We need to kind of bring the Bloc Quebecois
Yeah.
all into it.
I'm
Every
separatist
province.
maxing.
Yes,
to every
exactly.
province.
For the people who don't understand niche Canadian politics, we don't have a two-party system. We have a several party system.
Yes.
And one of the parties is just a Quebec, which is a province in Canada, interest party. They
Yes.
only vote on matters
That-
that directly affect them.
Quebec. Yeah.
And mainly those matters are, we really wish we weren't a part of Canada. We don't want to be a part of Canada anymore.
And to be fair to Quebec, Canada kind of just screwed over the French of it all.
yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
It
It is objectively like a bit funny.
it's obviously funny, and it's also just French Canadian people specifically being pissy is just fucking funny.
Oh, it's amazing. A
I
pissed
do not
off
like
Quebecois.
I do not like Ontario.
I do not go to Ontario.
Yeah.
I do tell you when the story when I slept with a guy.
Yeah, and he was like, I'll never go.
And he had a
I think
fleur
you've
de
told
lis
this
above his
on.
bed.
You've told this on the podcast.
I know, well, I'll tell it again.
In the Mary Shelley episode, everyone wants to hear it.
A fleur de lis above his bed, and then he was like,
Canadian,
like trying
the
to
Quebec symbol.
barely could speak English. Like,
Yeah.
this could not like barely communicate with
Just
me.
speaking in French Canadian.
Yeah, like he was just kind of speaking French at me, and I was like, yeah.
We.
And then he was like trying to get me to like stay in Montreal and like stay in Quebec, and he was like, when will you come back to Quebec? And I was like, oh, probably not for a while, but like if you're in Ontario, you know, to like text me. And he's like, I will never go to Ontario.
Yeah, they do not like it. And
I do
fair.
not like Ontario.
But like so much
get
of
it.
Canada is that. Like there really
yeah.
are separate. It's interesting because it's like I feel like better than the States in that like they're not so different, but every province really does vote for their interests.
Yeah, for sure.
The Maritimes vibes, fishermen rights.
Fisherman rights.
Quebec, we don't want to be a part of Canada. Please let us leave.
Ontario, please, any infrastructure at all.
Yes.
Literally will suck dick for infrastructure.
Ontario's will suck dick for infrastructure. And then I feel like the prairies.
Saskatchewan farming.
Yeah, well, then there's obviously Alberta oil. I feel
yes.
like I don't know what necessarily Manitoba is voting for specifically, but
I don't know much about, well, Winnipeg.
love Winnipeg. I really
You're a
came
Winnipeg
for
defender.
I have to be a Winnipeg defender because everyone says it's so shit, and then you go there and it's fully fine.
I want to go to Winnipeg.
Yeah, we should go to Winnipeg. That's where your birthday trip should be.
Honestly, that's my thing. Like, also, like, I love traveling. I love a trip to somewhere that like is familiar but a bit different.
Yeah.
Like, I would thrive in like a week in Winnipeg, I think.
Oh my god, you would love it.
Like, I'd look up like, okay, what's the
We're
best
gonna go to
local band
Noise.
to go see?
Yeah, we're gonna go just see local band. We're gonna see their singular sketch troupe, which
Yeah.
sells out huge theaters.
Let's go see that.
We're gonna eat some beautiful, delicious food.
I look up like the closest store to my favorite store in Toronto, and I go to that.
Yeah, it's a vibe.
Yeah, like that's the best way to travel is just kind of like, that's why I love St. John's for that reason.
Yeah.
I was like, this is just kind of like somewhere else.
Yeah, but
I
it's
love
here,
somewhere
but
else.
it's somewhere else.
It's here, but it's somewhere else.
Definitely. I really want to make it to St. John's and to like, I'm going to PEI this summer on a trip. We're going to Charlottetown because I
God.
love Charlottetown.
I'm going to
obviously.
Halifax this summer.
I want to go to Halifax too.
Okay, maybe we could meet up.
I would love that.
We should talk about this in a more serious capacity.
Yeah, we don't need to give all the deets, but
do not look up when we will be in the Maritimes. We will tell you if we want you to know.
Yeah, and also you can look it up. You're not gonna be able to fucking find out. It's not on the internet.
A message to the maritime stalkers of the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't even try.
Yeah. And then I guess BC votes for like
weed.
Yeah.
BC, okay, can I say, I feel like I'm kind of beefing with British Columbia. If you're from British Columbia, love and respect you.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like sometimes I'm like, what the hell? Okay, here, no, you know,
you say your thing and then I'll say my thing about BC.
British Columbia, like people from BC who are comedians who moved to Toronto, and people, period. Anyone I've met who was like moved from BC to Toronto,
yeah,
or anywhere in Ontario, is the weirdest fucking vibe. And I'm sure
they have a crazy vibe.
BC, I'm sure, feels the same way about like Ontario people who moved to BC. And I wonder if it's like a certain type of person who does that move.
It must be, right?
Because like I'm like Ontarians who move to BC are often like, I want to go hiking and wear like my athleisure. And then like BC people who move here are trying to be like stars.
Yeah, no, it's like they literally are, and no shame in the game, but like never met a group of people that want to be famous more. And it must be because if you're gonna move here, like that's what you want. Like that's not everybody from BC, but it is like the people who do move.
Yeah, it's like to get a bigger job.
Because BC is where they shoot all the Hollywood stuff. Every Hollywood movie films in Vancouver.
100%.
That's
Twilight.
all they do. Twilight films in Vancouver. Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought they filmed. Wow, that makes sense.
Wait, maybe they didn't. Wait,
Riverdale,
because
Vancouver.
You're kind of a genius at this, and I don't really know much about that.
But I'm not really a genius at it. I'm a genius in the sense that I've seen that movie 25 times. But beyond that, I don't know the lore in the same way.
Okay.
But so much shit. So I feel
X-Files?
like maybe when you're in Vancouver, you're like, this is almost Hollywood. But where I need to go to make it back here
to Vancouver is Toronto.
I have to go to Toronto to make it back to Vancouver.
Which is not true. I never get auditions for Vancouver.
No. And I also think like Toronto's vibe is a lot similar to Chicago in that like although there is industry here, we're very judgmental if anybody wants to be famous.
Yes.
Like people who want to be famous, I feel like a lot of people are like, ew, even though like we live here.
We all secretly want to be famous.
Yeah, but you have to pretend you don't want to. It's classy.
You have to pretend you don't want to, so then when it happens, you're sort of like,
what?
It's a curse.
Exactly.
I hate it. I just want to ride my bike through the annex.
Yeah.
Toronto-ass motherfuckers, Rachel McAdams.
Love her. Goes to my dispensary, as we've talked about.
Actually, I'm actually obsessed with her. I rewatched the first half of Spotlight the other day.
Oh, I gotta watch Spotlight.
Have you never seen it?
No.
Oh, you'll flip. You'll lose your mind.
Paloma Nunez.
I only watched the first half, so I would watch it with you.
Okay.
But I'd do something else.
Well, I watched the first half. I'll catch up to you.
No, it's like I'll just rewatch the whole thing.
Here's my thing with people with BC.
Yes.
And that it's where, you know how that, it's some other comedians joke about Montreal. It's not my joke. I'm not taking credit for this, but I don't remember who it is. But it's like Montreal is where young people go to retire.
Yes.
I feel like Vancouver is where people from Toronto go to die. Like, it's exactly what you said. If it's just like hiking.
Yeah.
I want to go hiking. And I feel like they like parachute into a place where people actually live.
Yes.
And are like, the mountains. And I feel like everyone else in BC is like, you guys are bringing a crazy energy.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's the energy of somebody who doesn't really live around nature. Although I do think we have a good amount of nature for a city in Toronto.
We do.
But like BC is genuinely the most beautiful place I've ever been in my life.
Gorgeous.
And I rejected
Wales.
it so much. I was like, when I was going, people were like, it's beautiful. And I was like, okay, like whatever. And then I arrived and I was like, oh my God.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
This is the most beautiful place I've
it's stunning.
ever been. It's stunning.
I haven't actually been to Vancouver. I've only been to Vancouver Island, and the most beautiful place on
planet Earth. Like truly.
Really freaking nice people, beautiful nature, stuff to do.
Vancouver is nice. I went to Squamish because my cousin got married in Squamish and it was the best wedding I've ever been to.
Walk
by
down
far.
the aisle to Yellow by Coldplay, famously.
Yes, of course.
And I will defend that choice.
I think it's
wasn't
honest.
there.
Yeah, but you defend it.
But I defend it.
But it was like the best wedding I've been to because it's just like planned to the perfect amount of like, it was so funny. She doesn't like attention. So their first dance was truly like a 30-minute like song that had been edited almost as if it was like a TikTok. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because she was like, I don't really want to dance in front of everybody, but like, I know I have to.
Yes.
So it was truly like 30-second dance with her husband, 30-second dance with her dad.
Aww.
And I was like, this is your need. Like, I actually love that you are only doing the things you want to do.
No, I love that.
You know, not like feeling beholden. I mean, I can't relate.
Yeah.
I fucking love attention.
I will be picking a like 19-minute long soundscape to dance to.
Yeah, I'm doing my first dance to Piano Man. I'm doing it to American Pie.
I'm doing it to the full soundtrack of Cats.
Yeah,
We're doing the
y'all
dances.
can sit down.
Y'all can sit down. Well, because it is kind of like weddings are so interesting, but it is really beautiful when it's like, okay, well, like you're just doing the stuff you want to do.
Yeah, I really like that.
It's really lovely.
And I appreciate when an event is planned well, where it's like, not to be like it's overly planned, but to be like there's enough food for everybody.
Yes.
There's really good food. There's open bar. The music, the DJ fucking rocked.
Yes.
And like, and beyond that, like do whatever you want.
I'm in 2 wedding parties right now that are really funny in the way that this happened to me last year too, when I went to one wedding you were at, where it was a gay wedding in a nightclub.
Oh yes,
and then,
the rave wedding.
Yeah. And then another wedding that was like at a farm, like so planned, so freaking bougie, whatever. Like, and like both amazing weddings. But this year I'm in 2 wedding parties.
Crazy.
So I'm actually like a bridesmaid for 2 different people right now. And it's like the exact same polar opposite. Like one, it's like my best friend's family, love her, but like I had to book a fuck ass yurt.
Yeah, you had to book a yurt to stay in.
$400 yurt to stay in. And we're going in the middle of the forest. I have no idea how I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
I don't know who's driving me to the forest,
yurt.
to the yurt. But I paid for the fuck ass yurt.
So we're getting to the yurt.
To the yurt.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, like bridal, like fittings, like bachelorette, like bridal shower, like all this stuff. I'm a bridesmaid at my other friend Iris's wedding, and her fiance texted me a collaborative Spotify playlist yesterday.
Obsessed.
It was a add to whatever you think might be nice to play at the wedding.
Wow.
I was just like,
I gotta get added to some more weddings. I'm not going to any weddings. I know.
It's terrifying. Everyone told me this and I didn't believe them, and then it happened to me and I'm like,
I know I think that'll be more true now that like a lot of my friends are around our age a bit, like maybe a little older than me, but also kind of my age. But before, like I have a couple of friends that are just like 40, like in their 40s.
Yeah.
And I've missed
their weddings,
which is really like people who are like my best friends. Like I feel like if Matt got married now,
you'd be
I would be best man.
Maid of honor, best
like,
man.
I would be up there, you know?
Maybe you and Reese.
It would be
like,
me and Reese
and Kyle Dooley.
Fucking swab.
Just like 3 toddlers in a trench coat.
Exactly.
You, Reese, and Kyle Dooley.
Yeah, exactly. 3 genders.
Beautiful. You
can be hockey guy who does improv. You can be choir guy who does improv, or you can be woman who does improv. Yeah. But like, so I've missed some people's weddings. Yeah. So I feel like my brain categorizes that I just miss everyone's weddings when in actuality. But I can't imagine any of our friends getting married. I know that they will, but I find it crazy.
I've got a couple.
You're telling me I'm going to Brendan's wedding?
No, not Brendan. I'm gonna stop shooting strays at Brendan.
I don't mean I meant that to be
talking
like
to myself.
Okay, because I was like, it would be crazy, but like that's what happens.
Yeah, but no, it's like it's random people out of the woodwork. There's a couple of people in our friends who I've got my eye on a little bit.
Yeah, but you also have. You're better at keeping acquaintances than I am. Like I don't know how many ancillary random weddings I'm gonna get invited to that aren't my close personal friends.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Well, and you don't really like. I feel like weddings are in right now, but not like big weddings where just like everyone's invited. But yeah,
no, that's what I mean. Like I don't, and that's fine. Like at the end of the day, not getting invited to a lot of weddings is like a fine cross to bear.
Yeah, girl, I'm cleaned out every month.
But I feel like you more than me, like. You are, I think, in more people's like top 10s.
Like auxiliary.
Do you know what I mean?
Group, yeah,
I'm not in people's top 10s. I feel good about where I'm averaging when I'm in the top.
Yes,
but like I don't have a very good skill at like being someone's kind of friend.
Yeah,
you know,
I get that. If it makes you feel better, I'm getting actively worse at being that person in people's lives.
Oh, it's just different. It's also just like different skills. Like I don't feel bad about it. I think before I used to be like it's a personality failing, but now I'm just kind of like. I'm good at I feel like I'm not good at having friends.
Yeah.
I just can't. I find it hard to be like loose friends. I'm either like really intense.
Or you do not know them at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. There's a couple of like, I have, 3 weddings right now that are on the horizon for me. Anyway, what else is going on with you?
No, I fell on the ice yesterday.
I'm sorry.
And yesterday I had like, I've been in a great mood because the weather has been nice. I mean, it's been like 45 Fahrenheit.
But it makes a difference.
4 Celsius. But like, it's nice for
expectations are in the ground right now.
Yeah, exactly. So. But I had like, you know how like in certain video games, like you check and you're like, oh, your luck is high today or your luck is low. Like they do that in Stardew Valley. I had a low luck day yesterday, but I didn't even think about it. I got up, made a coffee. I accidentally put this, where I was making my coffee, I have a spice rack on top, like basically like in a cabinet on top. I accidentally put red chili flakes in my coffee instead of cinnamon. Okay. And then when I was like, oh fuck, I gotta go take them out. I went to put the red chili flakes like container back in the rack, but I missed. And it just fell into my coffee and sprayed hot coffee into my eyes. With chili flakes.
Oh my God.
Just into my open eyes.
That's rough.
And then yesterday we did a show and I was walking home and I sent you Crazy by Les Seraphim.
Such a lit song.
Lit song. Act like it ain't Joe, just like crazy.
I did listen to it. I wasn't ready for what it was going to be. And I was like, whoa.
I know, it's like 11 p.m.
I was listening to
girls are girling.
I was listening to Sam Fender's like moody ass album, and then just like
I like the first part of that. I like the first part of the rap verse. I'm not gonna do what sounds like Korean, so I'm just gonna do the sounds. But it's like Pikachu. And I'm like, what?
Pikachu.
What does it mean? What does it mean in English?
Pikachu,
Why is Pikachu
somewhere. There? Pikachu's here.
Yeah.
And then you fell on the ice.
Yes, and I was walking home, and I never fall on ice because I'm just not a slippy person because I'm 5'1". Like I'm so close to the ground, like I can slip a little bit, but I never fall.
Yeah,
but I fell and there was a bush in front of my house.
You weeble, but you wobble, but you don't fall over.
Grabbed the bush to try and like stop myself from falling down, but then just like fell on the ice, and it was funny. Like that's the thing I was telling you. Like falling is maybe the funniest thing in the world to me.
Yeah.
So even when I fall, it's fun. It's funny to me. But I fucked my back. I'm fine. But it was a fine day. And the day before that was also a really good day, even though I had a really bad stomach ache. But I was like, I've had some bad luck these last 2 days, even though the days themselves have been good. Which I feel like usually it's the opposite. Where like, I'm like, today was fine, but why do I feel weird?
Yes.
But because the weather was okay, I was like, oh, it's fine.
No, I know what you mean. I kind of had a weird luck day yesterday. Not as quite as comical as yours.
Yeah.
But
you didn't get hot coffee sprayed into your eyes.
Yes, I didn't have hot coffee sprayed into my. But yeah, I just felt like I had a low luck day. Like my day wasn't bad. I was just kind of like.
You're just meeting more obstacles.
Yeah, like I'm ready for this day to end.
Like, you know those days when you're like, you show up to the subway and then the subway's right there and you get on.
Yes.
And then it's fast and then you get off and then the bus is right there. Like just like things work out for you.
Yes.
Usually I feel like I operate pretty there. I'm usually pretty lucky.
Yes.
Just I think through nature of like I don't often notice it when I'm so unlucky. Like I do think even though I have a bit of like cosmic doom.
Yes.
Generally speaking, I can usually look on the bright side, so I notice when good things are happening.
Yes.
But yesterday I was like, bro, bad luck day for me. Like I'm on the ice.
Yeah.
And I never slip on the ice.
No, I
And
know
I
what
was
you mean.
on my I mean, it didn't hit my head, thank God.
Yeah, that would have
The
been
bush
bad.
helped with that.
It was also like very sneaky slippery yesterday because I almost ate shit too.
Because it melts and then it freezes at night. So you don't see it looks like a wet puddle. So I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna like go through this wet puddle. No, it's ice and you're on the ground.
There's this like one patch of sidewalk near my house that is like so dangerous right now because it doesn't even look like a puddle. Like it literally just looks like sidewalk and it's ice.
Oh my God.
And I don't know what the fuck is different about this one patch of sidewalk.
But there is something different.
People just like walk through and they eat shit. I think what happened was when it snowed, there was a huge snowstorm in Toronto a couple of weeks ago. And for some reason, this one patch near my house became like literally a pool, just the way that like the sidewalk dipped and there's no drainage. And there's like a house on one side, the road on the other. So then the snowbank created like a literal pool that was like half a foot deep. And like,
so it's just like a little ice. It's just ice.
Yes. And I think that like the water has just spread all along this patch because it still hasn't really drained properly.
That's where the worst ice comes from. Is when it melts and then freezes and then
terrible. This is what real Canadians know.
Well, we're talking about the War of 1812 and the burning of the White House today.
I can't wait because I actually don't know the full story.
It's really interesting. I also have been finding recently like learning about history I think can be helpful in times like this where it feels like full stop. Like I think most people in the world feel like it's never been worse, right, than what it is right now. Like I think we all feel that, and I still think that's valid. Like there are lots of really horrible things going on, but I think learning about history allows us to be like, oh, things are bad now, but things have always been kind of bad, like and good, and those things can exist hand in hand. But like when you read about the Black Plague, you're like, oh, this is like not saying things aren't bad now. That's like the worst it's ever been.
Oh, absolutely.
Like that is awful. So when you read about stuff like this, it surprises me how much the narratives are exactly the same.
Yes.
And not that it makes me feel better, but I think recently me and a lot of people have been like careening into flirting with hopelessness.
Yes.
Of being like, usually I'm not
this upset.
Yeah. I can feel these things and take in these horrible things, but feel invigorated by them to make change. But recently things have been feeling so horrible.
You're
in the
sort of
news.
like,
I'm
how
like, what's
could
the
this?
point? Well, I realized the other
Yes.
day, like I have voted in every single Canadian election since I've been able to vote. Like municipal, federal. Every time I've had the possibility
Same.
to vote, I have voted. And I do not think a person I voted for has ever won. Ever. And I was like, well, what's the point of this? And Reese was like, well, this is like what having fringe political beliefs is. Like, this is just what it is. Like,
well, that's just why, like, I do like Canadian electoral systems in the way that, like, even if you feel really, really hopeless at like the high level of government, you can vote for what's best for your community.
yeah.
And a lot of times your community will be on board with you.
Not me.
Not you, but me.
No, I know you live in a great place for that. I live in a place that's like, this neighborhood in 10 years will be so different because all the old crazy people, not everyone who is old is crazy, but the people who live in my neighborhood are crazy. I don't know what theylied.ca is.
Oh,
I don't want to fucking find out.
Oh, horrifying.
But my next door neighbors put those stickers up all the time. They lied. I don't know who's lying.
You also live in kind of like a weird sect where like a lot of the old people in Toronto are kind of like at least like liberal, if not pretty hippy dippy.
No, these are crazy people.
You, for some reason, live in like quite a conservative.
I live in a full stop.
Like a pocket.
It's a conservative riding in downtown Toronto.
It's weird.
Which is nuts. Which does not happen.
Really weird. No, like it's not a thing.
Because I've looked at actually and this is me just doxing myself. And I won't say specifically, but like basically like I live on the border to a place that votes NDP and always goes NDP. But I live basically on the street, like the south side of the street, let's say. It's not that, but like I'm lying so you can't tell exactly where I live.
Yes.
But like let's say I live on the north side of the street. That would be my riding. But the south side of the street is a different riding. Like that's how close I live to quite a liberal riding. But my riding then extends to basically like mansions for old people who just don't want to pay taxes.
And it's mentioned for old people who like moved there when they were trying to get away from like different like ethnic zones of the city.
Yeah, they're like, I don't want to
like
live with the Portuguese. Like that's the kind of people these people are. Like it's like old timey, weird racism where they're also like so like it's really fucking hard to live in a city and be removed from your community. But these people find a way.
Yeah,
you know, because
it's
like
really weird.
There's people who like people next door to me who are like actually alt-right, anti-vaxxer, old couple.
So weird.
Insane.
Really, really weird.
They are unhinged, mentally unwell. I'll say
Rock
it.
on.
And they live. I'm sharing a wall with them right now. If they can hear it, fine.
Fuck you.
Get vaccinated. You have a baby who is your grandchild.
That is crazy.
Like, but they still at least like are in the community. They're at odds with me.
Yeah.
But they are in the community.
At least
they're
they're
people
active.
that live in the mansions you never see because they just drive out.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah,
I know that's not
very
interesting
strange
to you guys, but it's interesting
It is
to me.
interesting, though. It is interesting. But I know what you mean about, like, feeling hopelessness about everything. And, like, it is really comforting that, like, most things have happened before.
Definitely.
And, like, everything does move on. Like, things suck. But, like, there will be something on the other side of everything. And, like...
It's just nice to remember that it's not unprecedented times. Like, that's what I think is, I read after, obviously the last episode is the John Green interview. I've read the Anthropocene Review this last week, his other book, Before Everything is Tuberculosis. And he talks about that a bit. I don't remember if it's in his chapter about staph infections, which was a real thing for me to read because obviously one of my number one fears in life is getting a staph infection.
Yeah.
But he got a staph infection in his eye and he was okay. So like if John Green... The only person in the world who's more sick than me, let's say it. Like, truly the only person in the world that gets more sick than me is him. He'll be like, and then I got meningitis in my brainstem. And I'm like, what? But talking about how, like, it's not unprecedented. Like, we don't live in unprecedented times. And in fact, we actually have more skills and tools to deal with these things than before.
And we have a history of precedents now. Like, it's recorded.
Yes. And that doesn't mean that the things that are happening now are okay by any means. Like, there are horrors beyond our imagination. And, like, the fact that we allow these things to happen is unfathomable. It's more just, like, the language of if you become hopeless, then nothing happens.
100%.
So that's what I enjoyed researching about this. Do you want to take a quick break and then just, like, jump into it?
Let's take a break and jump into it. And we're back.
Yeah, baby. Here, let me get the script up.
Okay, huge. Okay, this is also hard launch of you owning an iPad.
Yes, my sister's iPad that I got in the pandemic.
Okay, huge.
And I haven't updated it since. Like, it's a relic of the past. Like, it just has 3 or 4, I guess like 4 or 5-year-old processing at this point.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah, Tour. I've got Solitaire. I've got Chess. I've got Tumblr.
I feel like we both have a specific experience of having like a younger lesbian sister who's more with it with tech.
Yes.
Like the amount of times I get like random hand-me-downs from my sister, that's just like new technology to me that's 4 years old for her.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, great. I mean, to be honest, I don't recommend an iPad. Like, I only use it for this or like for any kind of job. Like if I have to do like because news and I have to write jokes out, it's better to have that than to like have to print it out. But you have to like bring it with you. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I see.
But that's the only time it's useful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like reading on it because the screen destroys my brain.
No, I need
it's not
glasses.
big enough to like be like, you know what I mean?
I just feel like I go on really big TikTok. I don't have an iPad.
You really want to go on big TikTok.
I really want to go on big TikTok. But I do want an iPad that I can get a keyboard with.
Yeah, because I think that's all of them.
Yeah, I do. But I do.
Everyone who's young and is listening to this is like actually trying to claw their eyes out and stop their hearing.
Sorry if you're 19 or 23 and younger. I don't know. What age is young?
I don't know. I still feel very young, even though I know I'm not that young.
I'm 1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I also feel like for us, like being kind of canonically old is not like we're not actually really that old, but it's like we give off old energy.
I'm not going to say my age because I want people to guess my age in the comments.
I feel like I must have said my age. Online.
I've said my age.
I think they might know if I say guess.
Yeah, I've said my age on this. I just feel like your age is better documented than mine.
Definitely. I also feel like my age is like I don't think I would. I think it'd be hard for me to read much younger or much older than my age.
Yes.
Where people often think you're much younger than you are.
Yeah, but sometimes people think I'm much older.
Okay.
Less now. Something changed. I don't know. Anyway, back to Canadians burning down the White House.
Shall we talk about the War of 1812?
Hell yes.
Okay, so first things first, before we talk, because really what we want to talk about today is the burning down of the White House. I'm like so exhausted on the narrative of this now, but obviously we want to do this because like we are like literally in the midst of a trade war with the United States. And
Which
like
is insane.
Nothing but love and light to our American listeners. The only thing worse than being at odds with the United States is living in the United States. So like nothing but love and light to you. Like this is not about you. When we talk about Americans, like we're really just talking about like, I would say like the ideal, you know what you're talking about. It's not you. It's like the manifest destiny colonization.
Yes.
Entitlement to land of it all. And not to say that, you know, Canadian settlers are much better like that. And we will get into that, obviously.
Oh, dear God, yeah.
But if you don't know, we're in a tariff war with the States.
And it's not great.
No.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah. So basically, like everything is all American goods are have tariffs here to be sold in Canada. Now there's retaliatory tariffs of Canadian to America, and there's also like a big movement of like only buying Canadian here now.
Yes.
Like you can't really buy American liquor here anymore and stuff.
No,
like
they
that.
took it off the shelves in Ontario.
Which is the thing. Like this is the thing that I think is kind of interesting, and it'll be interesting to see how it goes now because it seems like they're going into like meetings with him now and all this stuff. Who knows?
Well, we got like 3 updates yesterday of the tariffs going up and down, and then tariffs taking off this, and it's like the thing that sucks. And I'll say this about Americans. I think Americans are a great people. Like not to be like that, but like truly, like I just think that like there's something about Americans that's very like community based and very like holistic. And then for some fucking reason, you guys get taken advantage of by
psychopaths.
Psychopaths. Like truly psychopaths time after time because I think that you believe in like the good of your country a lot of the time.
Yeah, well the whole like American experiment of it all, like it's inherently like a hopeful process where like
100%.
our democracy just kind of happened.
Yeah,
so,
we were just like Canadians were like, could we please be a country?
And they're like, okay.
They were like, whatever.
We're trying to really hard to colonize Africa right now, so we cannot deal with you. So we'll
you guys are kind of getting really expensive. You guys can kind of do whatever the fuck you want.
You don't have enough like ore. We need more ore.
Yeah, we need more ore. You guys have too many trees and beaver pelts.
Yeah.
We need more ore.
Yeah. So all that's to say is like it's literally going up and down. It seems like people are like meeting. I don't know what the fuck is happening anymore.
It seems like Trump is just kind of sitting in a room spiraling. Like, is anyone else getting that impression?
I always get that impression.
He's just kind of saying anything.
Yes. Yeah, so you've actually kind of gotten to the crux of it. Where I genuinely feel like if we just didn't bring this up, he would forget about it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like, and there's the whole, like, he keeps calling Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, rest in peace, not our Prime Minister anymore, Governor Trudeau, and he wants to annex us to the 51st state, which is just also, like, not going to happen. Like, I just don't think that's going to happen. And if it does happen, then, like, we're at war with Russia. So,
yeah. Also,
bigger
like,
fucking problems.
Respectfully, that, like, they've tried this before.
This is what we're gonna. This is what's happening.
Yeah, like it's really bizarre.
The narrative is very similar, and it's just interesting to kind of So that's why we were thinking about doing this, of talking about like this history of America and Canada being at war for very, very similar reasons. And like the narrative basically being the same. And that's why we wanted to talk about it. And I think this ends the War of 1812, which we're not doing. This is not a full overview of the War of 1812. This is specifically leading up to
Canadians burning down the White House. Yeah.
It ends in a draw, right? They're both parties are just like, we don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
So let's not. And that's, I think, how this will end as well. Like, there might be bad stuff happening in the middle, and I think that bad stuff will continue to happen in different areas of the world. I'm not thinking like, oh, well, we'll draw with Trump and then everything will be fine in the world. Yeah. But like, why? Like, I think, to be honest, like, it's just such a nuisance to have to fight with somebody on your continent.
Also, like, fighting, like, the idea of like Canada and the United States fighting is almost comical in a way that, like, I think I should think of it as less comical because it's becoming so prominent. But I'm like,
there's like 100 of us.
What do you mean we're beefing? Like, we're so inconsequential to you guys.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think I had to say this when I went on like The Social or whatever, and they were like, weigh in. The country, Carley Thorne, the country waits with bated breath on your take of tariffs.
Yes.
But I was like, we're so inconsequential to you in terms of size. The only thing we have is oil that you want.
Which you want.
You need.
And we just have water.
We're fucking, fresh water and oil and electricity.
Yeah.
And we're fucking insane. Like, we get offended so easily. Immediately, the second you offend us, we're like, well, then we're simply not going to buy any of your products.
Yeah.
We're not going to travel to the United States.
Canada is extremely petty.
So that's why I'm like, it's not going to end in like, we're not going to have enough pull to like decimate you, but also like, you just don't really want to fuck with us because it's going to be really annoying. You're trying to make an oligarchy. Like, you're trying to like topple the democracy. You don't have time to deal with us.
No, because like truly like the Canadian spirit, and if you know anything about Canadian history, we are exactly like, we're crazy.
We're just
like,
insane
we're just nuts. Like, we don't really like and we're not a big enough force to actually do anything that really like takes world power in any way.
So we just have to be petty.
We just invent war crimes.
Yeah.
And do petty little political moves.
Yeah.
While having like a weird little like smile on our face where we're sort of like, oh, you're going to do that? Like, oh, we're going to do this. It's like, why do you want to deal with it? It's so weird.
It's just not like a good use of your time, to be quite honest. Like, because it's not like we're consequential enough where it's like, you know what I mean? Like the Panama Canal, I'm like, well, yeah, that's like all trade of the world. Yeah. Like, I understand why you might put your focus there.
Yeah.
Girl, what?
Like, Canada? What? You want our felt hats or whatever?
So much of our country is uninhabitable.
We all live like 10 miles from your border. Like, relax.
We're good.
It's really, anyway,
also, so many people who are like here are just to live in a country this cold prior to modern times, you had to be actually unstable and nuts.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's like people in the West as well. Like, it's like the Wild West. That's the same thing, but up north. It's like, it's just fur trappers and criminals and I guess draft dodgers from the Vietnam War. Yeah. You want these people and their relatives to have nothing to do with their time because it's cold, so they're inside all day. Yeah. To just think about this and fume on this.
And also, big misconception, so many guns in Canada.
You know what? That's going to come handy because militias take a big part of World War 1812. So let's talk about it a bit.
Take it away, Carley.
And I will say, there's such and this is not from Americans because not love and light to them, they do not think about us at all, which is like fine. Not their fault. That's the culture. I lived there. I grew up there. Like, anytime anybody in America is nice and aware of the rest of the world, like, it's such a win because the public school system is like, America's the world, so don't worry about it. Yeah, it's not their. It's like not their fault. Don't worry about it. Like, it is very strange. Whereas like, and this probably isn't the experience for everyone. I grew up in like a very suburban place. I grew up in Maryland, which is very much like, you will learn about the Revolutionary War 700 times, and you will not know what the Korean War is about. No. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry. That's in Korea.
Yeah, like the amount of like awareness of the world I gained moving here immediately, just because also like people live from different parts of the world, like live here. For sure. I was in the suburbs, right? So it's like not necessarily a completely fair comparison. It'd be if somebody moved from like New York. Outskirts. Yeah, exactly. If you moved from like Bowmanville to like New York and you're like, well, Canada's really white. I'd be like, well, yeah.
Well, yeah, you lived in Bowmanville. The hell's wrong with you?
So I'm not being fair.
Yeah.
But just there's a misconception in Canada specifically that Canadian history is really boring.
Oh,
and this
crazy.
is fucking crazy. I'm like, I want to do 700 other little pieces. We need to do our heritage minutes.
We do. Honestly, I would be petty enough to do like a Canada season on girl historians, but we're not going to
yet. But if things get big, we can do like how the summer school sessions are we'll have like some, because Canadian heritage minutes are like, what would you explain to them are?
The most beautiful pieces of art.
They're like PSAs about moments in Canadian history.
But they're acted out.
It's live action.
And they're always like, they always get me crying.
Yeah.
I'm always sobbing. Oh my God, the freaking the insulin one.
Yes.
Jeez, fucking waterworks.
Yes. So it's just about like making sure we're aware of our history, I guess.
The gay
I
men.
haven't seen the gay men.
There's one where there's like two gay men and they want to get married and then they petition the government to have like spousal rights and then it gets turned down. And then it's like, oh, but it's the reason see, I'm crying. I'm literally making myself cry thinking about heritage minutes. Look up heritage minutes.
Look up Canadian heritage minutes on YouTube.
Oh my God, they rock. The Irish kids who come to Quebec. That one makes me cry.
I remember like Laura Secord.
And they kept their names. So there's a bunch of there's one that's really beautiful where it's these Irish kids coming over and getting adopted by like French Canadian families.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we'll change our names. And then they're like, no, like keep your names, whatever. And so like it's true, like to this day, there's like a bunch of like French Canadians who have these Irish last names. Because these like orphans came over. It's so sad. I can't cry.
So that's what a Canadian heritage minute is. So the War of 1812 happens in fittingly 1812. That one's easy to remember. America is 36 years old.
So nervous breakdown
time. Mm-hmm. And they declare war on Britain. And Canada is a British colony at the time.
Yeah.
So that's where
we're not
Canada.
A country
we're
yet.
we're not a country yet. And at the time, Britain is in the middle of the Napoleonic Wars.
Yes.
So Britain is busy, right? So we'll get to the reasons why war was declared on Britain by the United States. But basically, Napoleonic Wars, Napoleon.
Yes.
Right? He is the emperor of France at this point.
Which France having an emperor. Let's backtrack there real quick.
Well, he's also the king of Italy. And the protector of the German Confederation.
Okay, huge.
Basically, Napoleon running the board at the time.
Yeah.
And Britain is trying to fight the expansion.
Napoleon's going through like synonyms for kings for each different country.
Yes, literally. Just trying to do something new every time.
Yeah.
So they're busy. Okay. And during these wars, basically, America gets swept up because like America is trying to be neutral in these wars, right? Because France is at war with Britain, basically. So on November 21st, 1806, Napoleon orders a blockade of all shipping aimed at Britain. So it's like trying to cripple them economically. Sounds familiar.
Whoa. Damn.
So Britain obviously retaliates and is like, well, British goods are not going to be sold in France. Just like a trade war in addition to the real war happening, all that stuff, right? So basically, French ships are being seized if they visit a British port before entering a continental port.
Okay.
So France ships can then only come to the colonies if they want. Do you know what I mean? Like the French ships can't come to the colonies because they're getting seized at British ports.
Yes.
So America's like, well, what the fuck?
Yeah, this is insane.
You're stopping them from coming here.
Yeah,
and they're not stopping them from
ships.
going to like other places as well.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's very much like they're getting kind of caught up in the battle of it all.
Yes.
So to retaliate, Britain is stopping American ships from trading in Europe as well. To be like, you're not even going to get British goods from us. Like, we're going to stop. Basically forcing America to economically side with Britain, if that makes sense.
Yes, like it's so over for you guys.
Yes. They would also search the American ships for contraband, which would be illegal goods, but also would be British goods that the Americans would be trying to sell to France because they can't get British goods. You know what I mean?
Okay.
They would also search the ships for deserters of the Royal Navy, like the British Navy, because it was famous. There's lots of British naval officers positioned in North America because of Canada at the time, right?
Yes.
And the Royal Navy is very like rigorous and like very harsh. So lots of people would just desert and be like, well, I can just get a job on any of these shipping American ships, right? Like, so they would desert. But then if they were stopped at like a port by a British ship, they'd be like, well, let's see your papers then. And then would be like, oh, okay. Like they would have American citizenship papers, but then they would have like their same name or whatever. And then they would be like, well, now we're going to actually kidnap you and make you serve in the Royal Navy again. Like you've deserted.
That's rough.
So they were pissed about that.
Yeah.
And you know what? Fair.
Yeah.
That's annoying.
That's a little irritating.
Yes. And then the Chesapeake Affair happens in 1807. So the Chesapeake Bay, I grew up in Maryland.
Lafayette is
Love the Chesapeake Bay.
in Chesapeake Bay.
But basically it's like a huge watershed, and the reason why there's so many like little shipping towns and stuff like that, it's the same reason why in the War of 1812, every goddamn battle basically happens around Niagara-on-the-Lake.
Awesome.
Because it's like that's where the land connects.
Yes.
So that's simply where if you're trying to invade Canada, you have to go.
You kind of have to go there. It's there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the Chesapeake Bay like is basically you can go from the Atlantic Ocean more inland.
Yes.
And there's a bunch of different little like creeks and offshoots and rivers and that.
Yes.
So you would go in that way and then you can like invade and whatever.
Yeah.
And
through the creek.
Yes, through the creek. Huge shipping port. Like where so much of the shipping for the, I guess they're not colonies anymore. Like they are the United States happens at this time.
Yeah.
So there's an American boat called the USS Chesapeake. The captain knows that he has deserters on board. A British ship is like, we want to board and search for contraband. The American captain is like, no, because I know you're going to steal all my guys.
Yeah.
So
these are my boys.
You're not going to steal my boys. So then because he refuses, the British ship opens fire and kills 18 crew member by opening fire.
Yeah.
America didn't love this. So this is something like, also like, I know that this is like a lot of like information that's kind of boring, but we're just like laying the ground so you understand like why America is declaring war on Britain. Okay.
Yeah. Because it is convoluted, to be fair.
If it sounds like it barely makes sense and it's just little things that kind of turn the vibes, welcome to human history.
Yeah.
This is what it is. So the other thing is that the United States wanted to basically create, like, they wanted to take North America for the United States.
Yes.
That makes sense. Like, they wanted to take Canada because they're like, well, we're one continent.
Yeah.
Why should Britain
we want the
be
whole
there?
thing?
Also, like, if we're already having issues with Britain, what we were talking about before, like, you don't want your enemy or someone who's annoying you on the same fucking continent as you with, like,
yes,
the thousands of kilometer long border that connects you. Like, you don't want that. You want everyone in the area to be on the same page.
Yes. And the Canadian-U.S. border, I will say, is arbitrary. It's
insane.
Famously arbitrary.
It's just a line.
It's a line that's random, and the way it's divvied up is quite weird.
Yeah.
Like, there's no real, like, obvious border
line.
A lot
of that
I mean?
is also because of battles won here, like, where they're able to push them back. And at this time, too, people are trying to expand west. And Britain doesn't want that. So they're helping and arming indigenous tribes out west to better equip them to fight against American colonizers. Rare Britain win, I guess, but also it's like for your own interests and
so is it a win?
Is it a win? I don't know.
Also, another thing is I believe around this time, Canada is Lower Canada and Upper Canada. So
yes,
like
we do get to that, which is nuts. That one is called Upper Canada.
No, it's insane.
I'm like, bitch, they're next to each other.
Upper Canada's crazy. They do not understand upper and lower.
No.
And then all of the west of Canada is like Rupert's Land.
Yes.
Which is like, so to be fair to the Americans, it is a little bit like there's a couple of arbitrary colonies and then just like a lot of land that they've like arbitrarily claimed. Like it is like the indigenous people's land.
Yes.
So I'm not defending it, but like it's a little bit less crazy than being like, we're trying to take British Columbia.
Yeah, we're taking the whole country.
Yeah,
and this is the same thing of like they're trying to stop expansion out west. Like things hadn't been properly claimed yet. I mean, it had been. Let's say people were actively living there
for thousands of years.
Yes, but in the eyes of just manifest destiny colonizers, it's a real like land grab rush.
Yes.
And it's not as concrete as it is now.
Yeah.
But still insane.
They're manifesting their destiny of having the entire continent.
Yes. Also at the time there's war hawks, which is like a big group of congressmen basically like wanting war. They get elected on platforms of like wanting war and nationalism and patriotism and stuff like that.
What a crazy platform.
Yeah, imagine
someone having that platform. Cool.
So they're also like, we should go to war with Britain. Because again, it's like, it's exactly what all politics is now, is being like, I don't believe this, but like, I want to be elected again. So like, I'm going to run on being like, don't we hate Britain?
Yeah.
We do, don't we? Yes.
Don't we want to go to war with them?
Yes. And also there was a big, like a belief at the time in America that like Canadians would welcome being invaded. Like they didn't want to be a part of Britain. Because again, you have to remember like 36 years ago, like what America wanted was to not be ruled by Britain.
Yes.
Right? That was a big thing, famously.
So they were like, Canadians, probably also feel this way.
We can free you. Where in actuality, like
We're
a
helping.
lot of people went to Canada because they were loyalists, right? Like
Yes.
a lot of Americans deserted and became loyalists.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to be a free country.
Like my ancestors.
Really?
Yeah.
Love that. My ancestors were starving in Ireland,
Awesome.
ATM.
Well, some of mine were still starving.
Yeah, you just
Don't
had
worry.
more. Mine were in Newcastle and Ireland at the time, vibing.
Most of my
Not
ancestors
a
at this time.
stepped in Canada yet. And if it's not 1920, my ancestors have not come. Because my ancestors from England then went to New York.
Well, my ancestors from Scotland famously went back and forth between New York
Because they got kicked
and
out.
Scotland. They kept getting kicked out of New York, and then they go back to Scotland, then they go to Boston, then they get kicked out, then they go back to Scotland. So I don't know what the fuck was going on there, but prison sounds like.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe a bit of
Sounds like prison.
So yeah, so the things that basically the reasons why they wanted to elect war was declare. There we go. I've been losing words recently. It's not good.
Oh, me too, girl.
Declare war is war hawks in Congress. We should go to war. James Madison is the president at the time. Like, I don't know if we should go to war. And then people are like, no, like the people in Canada like really do want to be invaded. Also seen very much like they're like, it'd be so fucking easy to take them.
Yeah.
They're a small nation, like they're not prepared for this. Like, why the fuck? Like, it'd be so easy. Also, we need to stick it to Britain for fucking us over economically.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's mainly vibes based.
A vibes based
it's a
invasion.
Vibes based invasion.
I love when wars just started on vibes.
Vibes alone.
Vibes.
Yeah.
Just the vibes are not good, so we're gonna go to war.
That's all war though.
Women would go to
That's
cocktails.
my history.
Men would go to war.
This is my history book being like every war was a vibes based war. Because really what it is like, obviously, like, yes, World War I happens because of the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, but in a greater sense, the vibes were bad.
The vibes were, and it was like cousin vibes. It was like, I went to the family reunion. Vibes were bad between me and my cousins.
Now
so
we have to fight.
We're at war.
I guess we're fighting.
So I guess we're fighting. I guess we're like at war.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm really bored.
Let's do war.
Let's do war.
On June 18th, 1812, President Madison, which you might know from the Federalist Papers, Hamilton wrote the other 61.
Hamilton wrote
the other 51. I was listening to the Hamilton soundtrack when I was walking on Monday. I did a big old walk around.
Beautiful.
That album fucking
it bangs.
Slaps.
It's so good.
It just bangs.
That's so
and like
good.
I'm kind of self-aware when I'm listening to it that it's like a bit cringe because like when I was into Hamilton, like I was into Hamilton.
Oh yeah.
I was receiving Miku Binder Thomas Jefferson unironically on Tumblr. Like I wasn't loving it, but I wasn't questioning it.
No, I was getting it as something that I might be into.
They were like, you might be into this. And I was like,
definitely
not really, but
reblogged like a GIF set of like Hamilton being history has its eyes on you.
Yes.
With like different clips.
I showed Reese like this was like 2 Christmases ago, but like animatics, like you know when like people like write like they like draw animated like to songs.
Oh yes,
but they're not like super animated, but they are kind of animated, and it's the same exact drawing style. I showed him nonstop, and like the eyes rolling into the back of his head because he loves history and stuff, but like he is just a bit older, and he was never like online.
He was never cool.
He was never online.
He was never logging into Tumblr.com.
Even though we have, like, we're not exactly the same age, it feels like we're online the same age.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because we were just online at the same time.
Yes.
And I was like, it's crazy to me. You haven't seen this. The amount of Heathers animatics that were like on. I was being fed that too, where I was like, I was never a big Heathers kid. No. But like, they'd be like, you like this? And I'd be like, no, this? But like, I get why you would think that.
Yes.
You know?
It makes sense for everything else I'm consuming.
Yeah, they're like, surely you're interested in the new Star Kid musical. And I'm like, not as much, not really, but like I could be. Like, I'm not saying I'm not.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I'm not saying that, I'm not saying the algorithm has read me wrong. Mm-hmm. That kind of thing.
Especially like with Harry Potter stuff too, because Harry Potter had such a falling off with the J.K. Rowling turf of it all.
Yes.
Where it's like, they're so like, oh my God, Sarah Bennett, my roommate, famously 23 years old, didn't know what a Harry Potter musical was.
That's insane.
And I was like, wow.
That's insane. That's culture.
And it wasn't even that I asked her what it was. I was just sort of
like, you referenced it because you're like,
I'm going to pig farts. And she was like, are you fucking good?
What is that?
It's like when I had to explain to her what Belle and Sebastian was.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, just so you know, about 10 years ago, 13 years ago now, wearing a little dress from modcloth.com and popping on
Was
Boy with
everything.
the Arab strap like you were Zoe Deschanel in
Oh,
500 Days
mama.
of Summer. Whew. That better than cocaine.
Better than cocaine. Truly. But yeah, see, President Madison signs a declaration of war against Great Britain. This is supported by Senate and Congress. It's June, so, you know, a good time to go to war against Canada, which we will get into.
Weather.
It's obviously hard to fight against a nation that's used to being cold in cold weather. Britain is busy at the time fighting Napoleon, so it doesn't have a lot of soldiers to send. There are soldiers that are already stationed in Canada, but they rely heavily upon civilian militias and also armies basically created by First Nations and Métis people.
Cool.
So they fund this basically, right? They're like, if you can join, our like peace treaty will request that you get a sovereign Indigenous nation.
Yeah.
Because like, though, again, like you were saying, like there was still like a fairly large like Indigenous population in Canada at this time, and like they are just as good, if not better, at war than colonists. Like, why would you not be like, listen, America, although we're not good with Indigenous people, worse, lesser of two evils is us, evil. And when I say lesser of two evils, I mean
evil.
Two
Still evil
options.
Evil options. Evil versus evil.
The British were able to kind of be like, well, we're already funding Indigenous groups out west to stop expansion of America. We are more interested in maintaining traditional territory lines and trade. Like, wouldn't this be better?
Yeah.
And also, like, you don't really have a choice. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't really have a choice. Like, it's like you should probably just get involved because for sure America will be bad.
Yeah.
You don't know how bad Canada is going to be, but like, you know that America will be bad.
Yes, exactly. Canada's still, jury's out.
Yes.
On how bad it could get here.
So they decide to invade Canada.
Okay.
As an act of war.
Cool.
They quickly decide that Upper Canada is much more vulnerable than Lower Canada.
Which is Ontario, functionally.
Yes. So if you're confused, it's not Upper or Lower. It's neither Upper or Lower. Ontario is Upper Canada.
And Lower Canada is Quebec.
Is Quebec. Yeah.
And so the only way it makes sense in my mind is if you're standing in England looking at Canada.
Yeah, I guess
Upper would be on top and lower would be on the bottom.
Yeah, if you're looking at it from the side. But if you're looking at it the way a map would be,
it's side to side.
Very next to each other.
It doesn't make any sense.
Because I was wondering that because there's like a really kind of rich kid scary boarding school in Toronto called Upper Canada College.
Yes.
And we are quite simply mere kilometers from the border here. So I was like, why is this Upper?
No, it's not Upper at all. Yeah.
So they decide Upper Canada, i.e. Ontario, much more vulnerable because it's on the water. There's a little strip of land that you can walk on.
And there's no French people ready to shoot you.
Well, yes.
Down,
also famously,
that they know of.
Quebec City is built like a fortress.
Oh, it is.
And it's on the St. Lawrence River, which is impossible to navigate in a boat. It is really, really shallow, but really, really harsh waters. So you can't sail up it.
It's like the world's
really hard.
skinniest ocean.
Yes. So it's like you're going to be like, absolutely not. The Maritimes are fortified by the British Navy. That's where like a lot of the British Navy operates out of.
Yes.
And the West is too far.
Yeah, the West is not even in the picture.
No, they're like, that's just land at that point.
It's too much.
Yes.
Quebec City is built like a fortress.
It's insane.
Purposely built it. Like, put the fortress on top.
Yeah, it's like
the whole thing's
if
on
you
a
go
hill.
and visit it now, it's like one of those things you have to take a cable car to the top or like an elevator to the top of like a city. Like a city with like different levels. It's very medieval.
It is crazy. I was there for like 3 days and my legs changed shape.
Yes. It's insane.
Just walking up the damn hill.
Yes. It's so you're like, well, we're not going to do that. Let's for sure. York, by the way, the capital of Lower Canada. Okay, phone, chill. York, which is Toronto, which is the capital of Lower Canada, is simply on the lake.
Yeah.
So you get yourself in that lake, you can sail to the center of the capital.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So like if
and we, to be fair, we did set it up that way.
And now we'll come back. Put a pin in that. So Upper Canada is defended by about 1,600 British soldiers, but they're outnumbered. They're obviously outnumbered by the American soldiers. So they're like, let's go. But what America doesn't know is that in preparation for the war, Britain has fortified civilian militias and there is a large indigenous, I don't know about like army, like it's not an army, but you know what I mean? Like a group of warriors.
Functionally an army.
It's an army, right? Yeah. I just don't want to
We're real war
offensive
experts here on
No,
Girl
exactly. Also, Canadians were pissed because Thomas Jefferson said that capturing Canada was a mere matter of marching.
Wow.
Which when I read that, I was like, that's what they're saying now.
Yeah.
This rhetoric is the exact same.
No, the exact same thing is happening
Even
now.
before like the whole 51st state, Canada's gonna be the 51st state of it all. It was like, oh, they'd like it. Canada would love to be a part of America. Like, it's exactly the same. It's the exact same rhetoric. I was very floored by that.
Scary.
Very, very
weird
scary.
Fucking shit, dude.
Yes. So I want to do a quick detour to just talk about the fact that Canada's success in the War of 1812 is due to the First Nations and Métis people who were fighting for them. Just because when you learn about this, they're like, and they were there.
And they were there.
But don't worry about it. But
No,
it's
it was
like,
all them.
no, like they won the war and kind of like we were also there. Like,
Yeah.
they just were much better equipped
Yeah.
to deal with this than we were.
Maybe because they've been fighting Britain for fucking
they're like,
400
no, actually,
years.
we actually know exactly how to do this.
We actually know how to do this already because you fuckers haven't left us alone.
Exactly. So there are two Shawnee brothers, Tecumseh and Tenskwatawa. They're both like warriors, and they were incredibly vital in getting Indigenous people to join the fight. Like, they were basically the ones that were pushing forth this idea of like, we want a sovereign Indigenous state. Britain is interested in maintaining traditional trade and traditional like territory lines. Like, this is the best interest for us. We need to do this. Okay.
Yeah.
So they implored Indigenous people to unite with Britain in order to defend their dwindling lands against like growing incursions from American settlers as well, right? They saw Canada as lesser of two evils, which I said. And this is interesting also because like obviously our territory lines in no way, shape, or form reflect that of the tribe and territory lines of the Indigenous people before then. So the Haudenosaunee were actually divided land-wise by America and Canada. So the Haudenosaunee is six Indigenous nations all together like in unity, basically. But some were in America, some were in Canada, and also some were allied. Some of the tribes within the Haudenosaunee were allied with America versus being allied with Canada. No. So there was like tension within that community.
Oh, Jesus.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
It's also like hottest take in the entire world that like Indigenous education in Canada is bad.
Oh, it's terrible.
But I was like, it's 6 nations?
Yeah.
Why am I learning that now?
Yeah.
Tell me that in school.
No, it's rough.
Why am I learning about the American Revolution in grade 11 Canadian history?
No, it's not.
But I'm not learning. It's just insane to me. I know that that's like the coldest take in the entire world, but like I'm always surprised by that.
No, I remember, I think they've gotten like a bit better now, but I remember being in school and like we just learned that like Indigenous people called corn maize.
Yes.
And
the 3 sisters.
The 3 sisters. And then I remember like my history teacher at the time being like, and it's not in the curriculum, but like we did just like murder Indigenous people. And it wasn't like something to be taught at all.
Yeah.
There was like no mention of genocide.
I know. I mean, I went to the university that was just named after the guy that invented residential schools. Like
and which is cool.
Yeah, like that guy should have a university named after him. And then when they didn't name it after him, everyone was like, what? So I have to apologize now? And it's like, yeah, maybe you should. Like, I don't know. It's pretty bad.
Yeah. Maybe just fucking chill out.
Y'all aren't fine to sit with a little bit of guilt for like for a moment of your life.
Also, like, respectfully, it wasn't even a good school name.
No.
Like, it sounded so fucking weird in comparison to every other university in Canada.
Just name the university after the place.
Yeah. After a place or something arbitrary, like some arbitrary school in England, like Queens.
Yeah, honestly. For Indigenous people living in British North America, the War of 1812 marks the end of an era of self-reliance because after the war ended, they are outnumbered on their own territory, and any social or political influence that they had really was no longer effective.
This was Britain?
Yeah, this is in Britain.
Yeah.
Because part of the peace treaty, obviously, as we know, which ends up being the Treaty of Ghent, the Britain was like, well, we'll fight for Indigenous lands to be deemed sovereign and their own place. And America was like, we will not sign this treaty if that is a part of it. Isn't that insane? Like, not saying that like Britain, oh my God, hero, love it.
Yeah. But like, fuck, dude. What the hell?
So I'm gonna do a quick rundown of some of the battles, but just little quick ones, just so we kind of get to where we are when we're gonna burn down the White House.
Cool.
So August 2018. Nope, not 2018.
So a couple of years ago.
August 1812.
Okay, so picture this. Chain smokers drop closer.
And then
America and Canada battle at Fort
Detroit.
Henry.
Yeah, I know. So baby, hold me closer in the back.
Loading my musket.
And, yeah. So Canada seizes Detroit.
Okay.
In
awesome.
October of 1812.
Wish we kept it.
Yeah, we kept it. So don't check up on Detroit.
Don't check up on Detroit.
That is Canadian land.
Detroit is Canada.
Yeah, it is.
In positive.
100p. October 1812, Americans lose their first major battle of the war trying to invade Queenston Heights, which is in the Niagara Falls area, as is every fucking other random town in this thing. I'm like, you wanted to invade this town I've never goddamn heard of?
It's so funny too that like obviously like it makes sense that everything's like Niagara on the Lake, but now it's like Niagara on the Lake respectfully is such like a tourist town.
It's literally a block.
There's like a theater festival. It's a block. There's a park there and like 17,000 restaurants that all serve the same like oysters.
Yeah.
And then fucking Niagara Falls, which is like bad Las Vegas.
Yeah. But we have to capture the Rainforest
that's
Cafe.
where the world to capture the rotating restaurant.
Exactly. Ripley's Believe It or Not needs to be burned to the ground.
We gotta melt the wax museum.
Exactly.
We got that place where you stick your hand in a vat of wax and you make a hand mold of wax.
You need to burn it to the ground.
Burn it to the ground. It cannot be there anymore.
So they're trying to go to Queenston. American militias refuse to cross the border into Canada, citing their constitutional right to not fight on enemy soil, which like is fair. But then I'm also like, why are you going? Like, surely did at any point in the walk to the border of Canada
did you raise objections?
You're like, why? It seems like we're getting pretty close to the border.
Particularly, I don't really want to do this. That's so me though. I do shit like that all the time.
It's crazy.
Like now that I'm here, I really don't want to do it. It's like when I get ready for a shower and I'm just sort of standing in the bathroom on my towel.
Like, I don't want to get in.
Now that I've thought about being wet, I kind of want to
wash my hair.
I'm gonna have to do my hair again.
It's crazy. Sometimes the weight of having to shower and wash your hair every 3 days or every other day,
horrible,
until the end of your life can be exhausting.
Yeah.
Also at this Battle of Queenston, Mohawk chiefs Tayon Inokarawin and Aon Wise, alongside 80 other Haudenosaunee and Delaware warriors, hold back American forces for several hours while reinforcements arrive.
Wow.
They are given English names that are like John Boyer and whatever. I feel like we should go with their real name.
I would say that.
So on January of 1813, the American army tries to retake Detroit, but gets so badly mauled that any future attempts of retaking Canadian land in the winter are abandoned.
Awesome.
Yeah, they came up, some people from Georgia, I guess, came up to Detroit in January and were like, fuck.
They were like you and slipped on the ice.
Yeah, they slipped on the ice hard. No bush in sight to help.
No.
And then they get absolutely bayoneted. It's not fun.
Just full stabbed by like a man from Saskatchewan.
Yes.
Awesome.
But in April of 1813, American troops invade York, which is modern Toronto. And as we said, you get on that lake, you ride that shit to the center of our city.
Awesome.
So
right
they did
to
that,
Yonge and Dundas Square.
and they burn York to the ground. American troops partially wanted to do this because they wanted to appropriate Canada's half-finished naval fleet, which was in the York Harbor.
Okay.
But Canadians, upon seeing them arrive, burned it all to the ground. Their own Navy fleet.
That's awesome. This is what I mean. Like, Canadians are crazy.
They're like, oh, well, if we can't have it, then you're not going to get it.
We're going to burn it first.
We will burn our fleet to the ground.
Before you
won't?
let it.
I'm insane.
We're not going to protect the boats. We're just going to get rid of the boats entirely.
So
then no one can have them.
It's like, we don't care.
You want the boats? You can't have the boats. We can't have the boats either, but you're not getting the boats.
Definitely. And Americans were fucking pissed about this being burned to the ground.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Because also Americans would have protected the boats. They would have tried to fight the boats.
Yeah.
Canadians just burning the boats is funny.
Yeah. It's objectively being like, yeah, obviously York is about to get destroyed, but like, wouldn't it be funny if the one reason they did this
it's just for nothing?
Yeah, we just destroy it for them.
No, you also have no food or supplies?
Yeah. What about it?
What about it? What do you want? What about it?
Oh, the boats. We burn those down.
Yeah, we burn those down. Sorry, you wanted the boats?
Huh. Okay.
We got kind of bored of them on fire.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So do you know about the Battle of Beaver Dams? I didn't know this was a place.
Okay, I remember hearing about this, but like I could not in good faith tell you anything more than that.
Yes, this is another huge loss for America. 600 men are captured by a force of 300 Kanawak and 100 Mohawk warriors.
Cool.
This is another random fucking town around Niagara Falls.
It's called Beaver Dam?
Never heard of, called Beaver Dams.
Beaver Dams.
Yes.
So I'm taking out a map.
You might know it as where Laura Secord hit the town.
My bitch.
Motherfucking strutted.
My bitch.
So Laura Secord is our Paul Revere.
Another amazing Heritage Minute.
Laura beautiful Secord. Heritage Minute. And she also now is a chocolate shop.
Yes, for no reason.
For no reason. But she basically is a loyalist, hears British soldiers and sees them and that they're going to invade Beaver Dams, a city we've never heard of, but is in Niagara. Okay?
It for sure is.
She walks 30 kilometers from Queenston to Beaver Dams to warn them that the Americans are planning on taking the outpost. And she wanted to avoid like American troops being set up, so she takes a fucked up route that's super random
and like through the forest.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she gets help from Mohawk warriors to direct her. She walks those 30 kilometers. She lets them know it's fine. We keep Beaver Dams.
Iconic. I love that bitch.
Yes.
And then there's an altered story where she has a cow and on the way she gets hungry and makes chocolate.
Is that real?
That's what I heard as a kid.
That's the Laura Secord
where it's
of it all.
Where it's like kind of like the backstory as to why she's a chocolate shop is that she brought a cow with her.
But where does she get the cocoa beans?
Bitch, none of this makes sense.
Milk is not the main ingredient in chocolate.
Marketing's a crazy thing.
Marketing is a hell of a drug.
Hell of a drug.
So because of this, on December of 1813, American troops abandoned Canada for good and burned down Niagara-on-the-Lake in the process. And this is the last straw for Canadians because like you're retreating, but you're lighting another town on fire.
Yeah, that's just rude.
So they decide that they're going to burn down the White House. They're like, work. We should be doing that.
Yeah.
So British forces already had a growing presence in the Chesapeake. Partially, this was because they were like, we want to draw the forces, like the American army, away from Canada by being like, fuck. They're planning something.
They're in Chesapeake
I don't know why
Bay.
those boats are there. But it's not good.
It's so funny too, just like doing all this where it's like there's no way you can talk to the boat.
No, you just have to be like, I guess we'll also be there.
Yeah, like the boat's there now. Now I got to think about this fucking boat in the harbor.
Yes.
Shit.
So in August of 1814, Admiral George Cockburn, Canadian icon,
Cockburn
decides to burn down Washington D.C. and he decides on Washington.
And a guy named Cockburn would decide to burn shit down.
Exactly. He's like, my cock is on fire. Wait a second.
You know what
we should light on fire?
The White House.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, well, it's way less well protected than Baltimore, which they were really protecting. I don't really know why. But then obviously later after the White House gets burned down, this is when the British try to invade Baltimore while Francis Scott Key was held captive on a British ship, writes the Star Spangled Banner.
Okay, cool.
But that's different. That's later. But they decide to attack DC because it's like they're like, oh, it has greater political effect because it's like the capital.
Because it's DC
and it's not protected. So obviously we're gonna go that for like the image of it all. It's not just about like destroying the most army. It's about sending a message.
Yes.
And honestly, they're not fucking wrong. Like the message, it still stands today.
Symbolic.
Yes, literally. So, there was literally like nobody there to protect DC because James Madison kept appointing like people who were really bad at doing war to be like the Secretary of War or like the leader of these regiments.
That's funny.
So,
old-timey Elon Musk.
Literally. It's literally the like, what is it called? The Department of Efficiency.
Yeah. I'm going to buy one of his carriages to prove my faith in this warmonger.
The Secretary of War, John Armstrong, was the one that was convinced that Baltimore was the target, so he pulled all the troops away from Washington, D.C. He also hesitated to call militias out for help, just in case, because he thought it might cost too much.
Okay.
So there was no militia presence at DC either. And he was the one that was convinced that barricades weren't effective in war. Bayonets were the strongest defense in war. Like not like creating a barricade that makes it hard for them to get into the city. Like just have a bayonet.
Yeah. Which is a big sword on a gun.
If you don't know.
If you don't know.
Yes. James Madison also appointed General William Winder to safeguard this region. This is a quote from like the Smithsonian website, I believe. A man of indifferent skill and meager experience, Winder was a political ally of the president and the nephew of Maryland's Federalist governor.
Cool.
So he's just bad at being a general.
He's just a Nepo baby.
Yeah, Nepo baby general.
He's like a meek Nepo. He's Frankie Jonas.
He's Brooklyn Beckham. He's a Brooklyn Beckham of military Nepo babies.
Yeah.
He only had 500 soldiers at his disposal, and they were quickly overwhelmed. Yeah, so the British sailed up the Patuxent River, landed 4,500 men near Benedict, Maryland on August 18th. So there's 500 men defending the area. They roll up with almost 5,000.
That's so funny.
Immediately just go through them. Just absolutely decimate them.
And you would.
Basically march into the capital unimpeded. The worst hazards they faced were the heat and the humidity.
And that's true.
Yes. I go to DC?
Fuck, dude.
Hot.
No.
Swamp.
No, I can't deal with the heat. Cold, I'm fine.
Yes. On the afternoon of the 24th of August, they reached the eastern shores of the Potomac River. They faced 3 lines of hastily arranged and poorly distributed American soldiers. With surprising ease, they killed 250 of them and then moved through.
And you know that during all this, they were saying things like, it's not the heat that gets you. It's the humidity.
My hair.
It's the
my God, my hair.
My hair.
Yeah.
It's a wet heat.
So wet
stabbing
heat.
a soldier.
Yeah, with their bayonet. With few notable exceptions, the American troops in the city, along with Madison and his entire administration, flee the city.
Awesome.
The Americans' quick retreat earns the nickname of this thing called the Blastenburg races, basically being like, we're racing to invade that area and you're racing away from it. So it kind of just looks like we're racing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
This is also where we get the story of Dolly Madison, the first lady, saving George Washington's portrait and all these important documents from the White House getting burned down. She knew that it might get burned down, so she saved a bunch of important stuff.
Kind of a queen for that, I will say.
Well.
Oh, no, it didn't happen. She's racist.
She had the idea of it, but she made the enslaved people in the White House.
So I was right.
Yeah, you were right. Yeah.
So she's racist.
We know this because James Madison's personal enslaved attendant, a 15-year-old boy named Paul Jennings, was an eyewitness to this. He later buys his freedom from a widowed Dolly Madison and writes a memoir about his life, which is the first memoir about the White House, being inside the White House. And he talks about this, how it was the enslaved people and the servants packing up everything.
Wow.
So it wasn't really her. She had the idea, but she didn't fucking do anything.
Yeah, she didn't do anything.
Yes.
Just sort of it'd probably be a good idea to grab some of the papers that found the nation.
Yeah, I mean, yes, whatever.
Why don't you do it?
Yeah, why don't you guys do it?
Why don't you do it, Margaret?
Yeah.
I'm going to go.
Yeah, so they leave. The Canadians go into Washington, D.C. They decide to not burn down private property. They also don't burn down the patent office because they're like, well, patents are private property. And we don't want to lose those inventions. Which fucking fine. Fucking fine, dude. Yeah, sure, whatever. But they burn down the Capitol building, which contains the Library of Congress and the Supreme Court, the Treasury building, the Navy fleet, and the White House.
Wow.
The superintendent of public buildings of the city of Washington, Thomas Monroe, concluded that the loss to the Capitol amounted at the time, okay, wait, let me figure out what this number would be, $787,163, which is the equivalent to around $11 million now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, American.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
So that's like 18 million Canadian.
Probably, yeah.
We're so good at numbers.
We love numbers.
We love numbers here on Girl Historians.
We love it. Girl mathematicians. Ding. Yes. So this is one of my favorite kind of stories that I found from researching this. At the following day, Admiral Cockburn marches into the building that houses the National Intelligencer, which is like a paper that wrote unfavorably about him during the war because he is an admiral on the other side.
Yeah.
And he wants to burn it down.
Yeah.
Because they were mean to him.
Yes.
And there was a bunch of women there that were like, please don't. This is a wooden building attached to our houses, which are other wooden buildings. Like, he will simply burn our houses down. And he goes, okay. And then just orders his men to destroy the building, just take it down brick by brick.
Yeah.
But also remove the letter C from all their typewriters so that they can never write poorly about him again.
It's so petty.
I know, so that the rascals can have no further means of abusing my name.
Rascals.
Guys, make sure you remove the C from every motherfucking typewriter in this building.
You're not going to say this.
They are not.
They're so irritating. That's so irritating.
Yeah.
That's so annoying.
It's just annoying. Oh, great. We have to get new typewriters now. In addition to rebuilding the building.
Yeah.
So the following day, on August 25th, a storm rolls into Washington and puts out all the fires because it's raining. Mm-hmm. But there's also a tornado in the storm, which destroys a bunch of private residences.
Oh, that's too bad. Sorry,
that's the end
private
of the
residences.
story.
That's awesome. That's so funny.
To remove the C
from every single
typewriter.
typewriter. I'm going to start doing that to people.
Yeah, that's my... Should we do Let's Make This Tragedy About Us?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's make this tragedy about us. This is the part of the podcast where we take this tragedy or awesome thing we should consider doing again.
Amazing thing that we should maybe think about doing.
And we make it about us.
Yeah.
So my question is, a la Admiral Cockburn removing the letter C from all the typewriters in the newspaper office that wrote unfavorably about him, what would be your petty thing if you invaded Washington, D.C.?
If I invaded Washington, D.C.?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It can be now. It can be the past.
Okay. If I invaded Washington, D.C. now with the Trump administration there, I think I would take... so I catch Trump. He's sleeping, okay? Like, he's asleep in the White House because he lives there. I assume.
I think so.
I think probably maybe or not. I'm not sure. But I would catch him, like, right as he woke up, take, like, a really bad picture where his skin is, like, transparent.
Yeah, because he's not orange yet.
No, he's not orange yet. And, like, his hair is a mess. And then I, like, post it, but I don't post it, like, really publicly. I kind of, like, slide it into, like, a Reddit
photo
forum.
dump?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Or or like a photo dump or something. So it just like sort of starts catching on.
Yeah.
And then he can never escape it. It's like that picture of Khloe Kardashian.
Yes.
You
or
know.
Poot Lovato.
Poot Lovato.
You want to Poot Lovato Donald Trump.
Yeah. Or I would just take I would move everything like 3 inches to the right.
Ooh, that's big.
So you just like bump into things.
Yeah. That's really
What
big.
about you?
I do love the idea of removing the C key from all the laptops.
Especially because you're Carley.
Yeah. There's really there's
good.
beauty there. Obviously, again, like the storming of the Capitol was bad. I do think it'd be funny to take a shit on someone's desk, like how they took a shit on Nancy Pelosi's desk.
Crazy.
I would take a shit on Mitch McConnell's desk.
Oh, that rocks.
I would write, "Why is your hand black?" in my shit on the wall.
Oh, I forgot about
Please
his black
answer
hand.
why
That's
your hand is
terrifying.
black.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I'd clog all the toilets.
Yeah, clog all the toilets. Or just like break the string that like, you know how like when you open the back of a toilet, there's like that string?
Yeah.
Cut those all.
Yeah.
So they have to replace new strings.
Exactly. Just like annoying shit like that.
Yeah. Just like tasks that you now have to do.
Yeah. Like fuck up the Wi-Fi.
I would change like the hot and cold water so that when you turn on the hot, it runs cold.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Like fucking up everybody's chairs just a little bit so that they're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Make sure it like, just like smells really bad in Congress.
Yeah. Sort of put something like bad smelling
Try
somewhere
and
hidden.
probably, I'd be like, let's definitely take down whatever building the CIA is in because I'd love to read the Kennedy assassination papers.
Yes.
I would really love to do that. So like, that's just a personal thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Well, I loved learning about that.
Isn't that crazy?
No,
I know it's a bit
awesome.
more of like an actual history episode, but we should put those in, I guess, every once in a while.
Yeah, just so we do teach you guys something.
Yeah.
You don't get away scot-free.
You know that Admiral Cockburn removed the C's from all the typewriters in the National Intelligencer.
It's like newspaper.
The newspaper. Yeah.
That rocks. Okay. I love
After
that.
burning down the Capitol.
And take this as a warning.
Guys.
Guys.
Figure it out.
Figure it out. Let's figure it the fuck out.
But nothing but love and light to y'all.
Love and light to all our American listeners. You truly are a beautiful people, and I'm sorry that
This is
you're
happening.
having to deal with all of this.
Yes.
And on that note,
Thank you so much for listening.
thank you so much, really. We truly love you. Thank you for everything.
Bye, I
Bye.
guess.
Bye, I guess. Bye. Bye.